People in the Nelson Mandela Metro say their fear is going back to the streets. With COVID-19 regulations being relaxed, many shelters which house homeless people are at the start of the pandemic have had to close their doors. For many of the homeless, these shelters were their refuge, their haven. Let's get this report and the very latest from Lerato Fekiis.
During the time when the pandemic was peaking, homeless people were provided a refuge in in places of shelter throughout the province and throughout the country so that they could be aware and safe as possible. Where we are right now is a shelter which started 5 months ago when the pandemic was declared, and people have been staying here, homeless people have been staying here for the past 5 months. And talking to them, they were saying, you know what, they wish they could stay here forever because they've been provided shelter, sanitation, clean water, comfortable beds and food, something they're not really familiar with because they are homeless people and such comforts are not a luxury and not something they're used to as well. But joining me this afternoon is Johnny, who has been staying here for the past 5 months, and he has said to me that he wants to stay here forever if possible because this home has really become a haven for him. Johnny, let's just first talk about your stay at this home. How has it been for you staying here over the past few months?
The stay here, the center, for me personally and for a lot of others, it was an improvement from where we came from. So there was a lot of guys coming here that I know personally who had addictions. And I remember one gentleman came here, he was just shaking one way. And it was tough for him, but he went through it. So it was one of the many pluses for me personally. It was a time to reflect and take stock. So for me it was positive to be in the center.
And then Johnny, life on the street is very tough, and for us who are not there, we perhaps don't understand how tough it is for homeless people like you. How tough is it to be a homeless person, and are you going to go back, or would you rather stay here as a safety place for you?
On the streets of South Africa, it's a tough environment. You must have hair on your feet to survive. It's all about, on the streets, it's about resources, and because everybody's chasing for this little resources, there's some tensions forming around this, like they call it, the word is the scuttle. Now, at times there's a lot of jealousy. Maybe some guys, it's a good day and they have their own little thing, and then some guys maybe didn't do so well, and there's always this tension brewing all the time on the streets. There's also a lot of assaults taking place. There's a lot of characters that's unsavory that are being rejected by families, friends and society. So they go to the streets, and there on the streets there's no discipline, there's no parental guidance. It's like there's no rules. I can walk around, as an example, I'm not saying I'm doing that, but you can walk around any time of the night to do whatever you want to do. There's no rules. You know, I believe in there must be order, but on the street there's no order. It's like a little jungle out there.
And then Johnny, during the pandemic, obviously you were aware that people were getting infected. You were aware the numbers were going high and higher. When you were at the shelter here, were you guys provided with the ability to get tested? Did you guys also, even in terms of your safety, in terms of your health safety, do you think that was efficiently done here at the shelter in terms of good water, in terms of constant testings, to make sure that you guys are also safe even at the shelter?
Well, as far as looking after our health, we had some visits from mobile clinics. People were checked, people with diseases were attended to and referred to. So once again, I'm speaking from my own instance, is that I was quite happy and impressed with with what I saw. Clinics coming on a regular basis, people get their whatever treatment, because you must remember on the streets, people don't have time to go to clinics, to hospitals, because they really don't look after their health, because there's nobody that can, hey, you don't look good. There's no such concern on the streets. So when the clinics came here, it was, to me, impressive to see them coming, attending to the people with various illnesses, even if it's a minor illness, maybe just a cut. I was battling with something here at the back of my neck, and I got some ointment and stuff, and it disappeared.
Then lastly, Johnny, now the regulations have been lifted and you guys are perhaps allowed to go back to the streets now. Are you going to go back? Do you have fears of going back, or would you rather opt to stay here?
You know what? Me, I don't want to move back to the streets. Luckily, I have a small income. It's a minor income. But I want to be, even if it's in a tiny little shack, but I am sick and tired of the street. Unfortunately, a lot of other people staying here don't know what are they going to do when the wall closes down. And that is, it's a little bit disturbing to know that they're not going back. Same thing is going to happen. It's like just back to normal. So personally, I have a passion for the situation. Something should be done. Look, you get different categories of people on the streets. You get a guy that is a troublemaker at home. Then you guy who bump heads with his family. People were conned out of their houses. I had a house myself, not a house, a place myself, but I lost it. So each one's got a different situation that he or she have to face. But I know a lot don't have a place to go to. So I believe maybe if government can still assist the very desperate ones with some accommodation, because at this moment people are using the wall, but on a limited basis. There's some activities taking place. We are spread out to use this area. So I feel we are not such a disturbance as we are in the shelter. We should just behave and make people feel like having us here. But that is a big challenge for social development, to displace, for displaced people to be integrated to their families. Some people don't want to go back home. Situations are dire. But my concern is the young ones, because the young ones need guidance. And who's going to give it to them on the streets? And that can escalate into something that this government will have to deal with. It's going to cost the taxpayers a lot of money. Rehabilitation, crime, stuff like that. So they mustn't just see it, just brush over it. After everything is done, they must look at something, because it's going to explode.
Thank you so much. That was Johnny, who is a homeless person staying here at the shelter, saying that his greatest concern, as the regulations have now been lifted, are the young people who have to go back to the life on the streets, that it exposes them to crime, to drugs, to alcohol. And he says it's a ticking time bomb, and is really appealing to government to create more shelters like these, even now post level 5, level 4, level 3 and level 2. He's saying that even level 1 and even post the coronavirus, when that time does come, he's pleading with government to create shelters which can be rehabilitation centers for the homeless people, because just like you heard, the people like him have dreams, they've got aspirations, but because of unforeseen circumstances they find themselves on the street. So really saying that these people must be given a second chance and be put into homes like these where they are given hope. For now, let's go back to you in studio.